Hello, I'm Eve Squires of Calm and Bright Sleep Support, and you can find out anything you may want to know about me and my work on my website calmandbright.co.uk. If you're watching this because you have a baby of around the age of 6 to 18 months who doesn't sleep happily through the night and who's not prevented from doing so by any physical, behavioural or medical obstacles, then help is at hand if help is what you're looking for. In this video, I want to talk about why sleep teaching is one of the most loving things you can do for your child. I'll cover the basic foundations for achieving unbroken sleep, and I'll give you some simple steps to help you remedy sleep problems once they've taken hold. If bed hopping and night waking are ruining your quality of life, or if you're exhausted and don't know how to change it, as I once was myself, this video will give you some tips on how to achieve solid sleep within just a few days if you're consistent and ready to put the hard work in. Having been in that dark tunnel of sleep deprivation myself, and having finally got out the other side and been faced with all the opportunities that solid sleep brings, I can speak from the heart when I tell you that it was the best thing I ever did. I believe that enabling your child to self-soothe is one of the greatest life skills you can teach your child. As a mother of 3 children and pregnant with my 4th, my personal belief is that parenting is very often about making the decision to take the path of most resistance for the greater good. The easier short-term path often offers more long-term difficulty, and the decision to skillfully and lovingly take on and deal with your child's resistance, which feels mightily like hard work at the time, often leads to longer-term peace and harmony. There are times when our children need us to help them and intervene in the night, of course, when they're ill or wake thirsty or hungry, or when they have a nightmare, or they're woken by something unexpected. But when our children's wakings have become a habit and they don't know how to get themselves back to sleep, it's time we taught them this all-important skill. If we rush in to rescue our baby or child every time they think they need us, we're actually undermining their ability to do it themselves. We are effectively saying, "You're quite right, you can't do this by yourself. Here I am to save the day." This is a far less empowering and confidence-giving message than saying to your baby through your actions, "I am here, I love you, you can do this, and I will be here the whole time while you do." Before you start any kind of sleep teaching, make sure you've got the basic fundamentals right. This involves a good nighttime routine, having bedtime at roughly the same time each night, making sure naps are the right length so that they don't interrupt the nighttime sleep, and being consistent and confident when starting and seeing through the teaching. Have a predictable routine that sees the hour before bed include a few enjoyable and calming activities that you do in the same order. Babies find security in predictability. It makes them feel safe, and it provides a calm countdown to the inevitable bedtime. You can find more advice on establishing a bedtime routine for babies in the Sleep Centre on the Slumbersack website. Try to make bedtime as close to the same time as possible. I like 7 to 7:30 p.m. as they're unlikely to wake after that time in the morning and they need 12 hours a night at this stage. The key to good night sleep often lies in the quality of day sleep, so make sure that naps are serving your baby as they should. Pull nap times back or forward if they interfere with nighttime. For example, if baby's wide awake at bedtime, their last sleep needs to be pulled back. And if they can't keep their eyes open at bedtime and are too tired even for the feed, naps need to aid that by moving closer to bedtime or being better quality or for longer. Make sure your baby's environment is conducive to sleep, but remember that babies all over the world have slept in all sorts of varied conditions. Don't make it too quiet. From the start, my mum said to me to never be too quiet for the baby so that normal noise became the norm. If baby is easily disturbed though, or a particularly light sleeper, it can help to have some white noise such as a fan to block out any other noise. During naps, I like to leave a bedroom window open in all seasons to allow fresh air and the dull rumble of the street or traffic noise to aid sleep. This has always helped my little ones to have longer naps. Like most parents I work with, I like to use a sleeping bag for a few reasons. It means baby won't wake in the middle of the night if they're too hot or too cold, and it's a great part of our bedtime routine. I also recently became aware of what a safety aid it is in more ways than one. My 17-month-old climbed out and fell out of her cot after a nap I hadn't put the sleeping bag on for. Had she had it on, she would never have been able to hoist her leg over the cot as she did. The sleeping bag also rules out any worries about baby getting tangled up in the covers and waking themselves, or slipping under loose bedding and having difficulty breathing. I'm also one for simplicity and ease, and one sleeping bag is a lot less work than several sheets and blankets. I'd like to talk a bit now about how we correct problems when baby is unable to happily drift back off to sleep by themselves. The very first thing we need to do is to teach our babies not only how to get themselves to sleep, but also, and almost more importantly, how to get themselves back to sleep without needing someone or something to do it for them. I so often see babies who can fall asleep, but they cannot get themselves back to sleep. We all know the things we use to get babies to sleep. Being with them, rocking, patting, feeding from breast or bottle, having to put a dummy back in during the night, or having to share the parental bed, as I found myself doing on several occasions. Once our babies believe that this is the only way they can fall asleep, a belief we reinforce each and every time we do it for them again and again, then resistance to doing it any other way builds up. When we stop getting them to sleep, the result is that when they enter their light sleep several times a night or during a nap, as we all do, they're normally able to confidently and contentedly just roll over and drop back off without your intervention. This is achievable, and it's totally within your sights if you're prepared to put the hard work in. Now, you may be thinking, okay, that's great. I know what I'm doing wrong. Just tell me what I can do to fix it. Well, once baby is drowsy but still awake, put them into the cot, leave the room, and begin the process. If your baby cries and it's more than just a call out or an angry shout or a grumble, then calmly visit your baby. It's up to you what particular method you choose, and there are several out there to choose from. But pick the method that suits your family and stick to it. When you visit, do it calmly but confidently, and you'll have to fake this, I know I did. And lie them back down if they're stood up. Baby may well get more upset when you leave because it's different to what you've previously taught them and what they feel you've agreed, but that is okay. Don't let the protest or resistance upset you too much. They really are okay and safe, and this short-term upset is a very small concession to make for teaching them a skill that will make them happier and the best versions of themselves in the long run. Once you are out of the room, only revisit if they're very upset. That shouldn't be less than 5 minutes after your last visit, but it may be a bit longer if they never quite hit that very upset stage. As for why we don't interrupt by going in unless they're very upset, well, we have to give our children the chance to practice this skill we're trying to teach them. To use the metaphor of swimming, if for fear of drowning we kept our children from the water, they would never ever learn to swim. Instead, we willingly subject them to the learning process, with some finding it harder and more daunting than others, because the end result warrants it. We do this because teaching our children to swim is a vital life skill. and I feel the same way about self-soothing. Repeat the process outlined above until baby has fallen asleep, and do this not just for bedtime but for naps too. One tip is to start the teaching in the daytime with your naps so that the majority of the hard work happens in daylight hours. Expect the teaching to be full on for both of you, but not even a fraction of the hard work it takes to run a happy family on no sleep for days and weeks, months, and sometimes years on end. The short-term difficulty is by far outweighed by the rewards of having a happy, contented, well-rested baby who has been empowered by their parents with one of life's most important skills. If you can give this your full commitment and your pledge of consistency, then you really have a very good chance of getting it sorted. If you're not entirely convinced, and please don't take my word for it, have a look at my website to read how much more happy, patient, calm, tolerant and cheerful people's babies are once they're fully rested. I look forward to hearing from you if any of the advice I've given in these videos has helped your family, and I wish you the very best of luck in getting the sleep you so deserve.